What if the weather you grew up with no longer exists? For many people across Europe, that question is becoming harder to ignore. Summers that once brought warm afternoons and pleasant evenings are now delivering weeks of relentless heat. Temperatures are climbing higher than many communities have ever recorded. Nights that used to provide relief are staying unusually warm. Hospitals are seeing more patients suffering from heat-related illnesses. Wildfires are becoming more common. Crops are struggling. Even daily routines that once felt effortless can suddenly become exhausting. If you're over the age of 60, these changes are more than an inconvenience. They can have a real impact on your health, your comfort, and even your safety. But why is Europe getting so much hotter? Is this simply another unusually warm summer, or is something much bigger happening? Today, we'll explore why Europe is heating up faster than many other parts of the world, why older adults are especially vulnerable to extreme heat, the warning signs you should never ignore, and the practical steps you can take to protect yourself and your loved ones. Because understanding the danger is the first step towards staying safe. Many of us remember summers from decades ago. Perhaps they were warm enough for picnics in the park, family holidays near the coast, or afternoons spent gardening without constantly searching for shade. Of course, there were always hot days, but today's heat waves often feel different. In many parts of Europe, temperatures now remain high for days or even weeks at a time. Instead of cooling down overnight, buildings continue to trap heat. This means our bodies have less time to recover before the next hot day begins. Scientists have been studying these changes for many years, and the evidence points to a clear trend. Europe is warming faster than the global average. This doesn't mean every single summer will be hotter than the last. Weather naturally varies from year to year. But when scientists look at decades of temperature records rather than individual seasons, they see a steady rise in average temperatures and an increase in the frequency and intensity of extreme heat waves. That trend affects everyone. Yet it poses a particular challenge for older adults. To understand why, we first need to understand what's happening to Europe's climate. Why Europe is getting hotter. It might seem surprising that Europe, a continent known for snowy winters and mild weather, is now experiencing some of the world's most intense heat waves. The explanation isn't just one single cause. Instead, several factors are working together. The first is the long-term warming of the Earth's climate. For more than a century, average global temperatures have gradually increased as heat-trapping gases accumulate in the atmosphere. This extra heat changes weather patterns across the planet. Europe happens to be especially sensitive to these changes. One reason is its geography. Large areas of Europe are surrounded by land that heats up quickly during summer. When dry conditions develop, the soil loses moisture. Instead of using the sun's energy to evaporate water, which naturally cools the ground, more of that energy goes directly into heating the air. Think about walking barefoot across a damp lawn on a summer morning. Now compare that with walking across a dry parking lot under the afternoon sun. The parking lot becomes much hotter because there is very little moisture available to provide cooling. The same principle can happen across entire landscapes. As soils become drier, heat builds more rapidly. Another factor is the increasing number of persistent high-pressure weather systems. These systems can linger over parts of Europe for days or even weeks. They act almost like a lid over the atmosphere. Cloud formation decreases. Rainfall becomes less likely. Sunlight pours down hour after hour, allowing temperatures to climb even higher. Cities experience an additional challenge known as the urban heat island effect. Concrete, asphalt, brick, and rooftops absorb enormous amounts of heat during the day. Instead of cooling quickly after sunset, they slowly release that stored heat throughout the night. This is one reason city temperatures can remain several degrees warmer than nearby rural areas. For older adults living in apartments without air conditioning, these warm nights can be especially difficult. Sleep becomes harder. The body has less opportunity to cool itself. Fatigue begins to build. And after several consecutive hot days, even healthy individuals may start feeling the effects. Scientists have also observed that Europe has experienced an increasing number of record-breaking heat events over recent decades. Events once considered extremely unusual are occurring more often than they did in the past. That doesn't mean every summer will break records, but it does mean periods of extreme heat are becoming more likely. And this is why experts encourage preparation rather than panic. Heat is one of the few weather hazards that can become dangerous quietly. Unlike a violent storm, it often arrives gradually. People continue with their normal routines. They work in the garden. They take long walks. They run errands. Only later do they realize their body has been under far more stress than they expected. For older adults, that stress can develop faster than many realize. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. Part 2. Why older adults are more vulnerable to extreme heat. Before we continue, it's important to remember something. Growing older does not automatically mean you are weak or unhealthy. Many people in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s lead active, fulfilling lives. They enjoy gardening, walking, traveling, and spending time with family. Age alone does not determine a person's health. However, as our bodies naturally change over time, they may become less efficient at coping with extreme heat. These changes are gradual, and many people don't notice them until they're faced with a prolonged heat wave. Understanding these changes isn't about causing fear. It's about giving you the knowledge to stay safe. Your body's natural cooling system. Think of your body as having its own built-in air conditioning system. On a warm day, your brain constantly monitors your internal temperature. If it begins to rise, your body immediately starts working to cool itself. One of the first things it does is increase blood flow to the skin. This allows heat from inside your body to escape into the surrounding air. Next, your sweat glands produce perspiration. As sweat evaporates from your skin, it carries heat away, helping to lower your body temperature. This cooling system is remarkably effective. But like any system, it can become less efficient over time. As we age, many people naturally produce less sweat, and the body may respond more slowly to rising temperatures. Blood vessels may also become less flexible, making it harder to move enough blood to the skin for cooling. These are normal age-related changes, not illnesses, but during extreme heat, they can make a significant difference. Why dehydration happens so? Another challenge is that our sense of thirst often becomes less reliable as we get older. When we were younger, feeling thirsty usually meant it was time to drink. But many older adults don't experience thirst as strongly, even when their bodies are already losing fluids. This means dehydration can develop quietly. You may feel completely fine, while your body is gradually losing water through sweating and normal daily activities. By the time you finally feel thirsty, you may already be mildly dehydrated. That's why experts often recommend drinking water regularly during hot weather instead of waiting until you feel thirsty. Small amounts throughout the day are usually easier for the body to manage than trying to drink a large amount all at once. Certain medical conditions can increase the risk. Many older adults live with conditions such as high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, or kidney disease. These conditions don't mean you can't stay safe during a heat wave, but they can make it more difficult for your body to regulate temperature and maintain the right balance of fluids. For example, if the heart has to work harder to pump blood during extreme heat, someone with an existing heart condition may become fatigued more quickly. Similarly, people with diabetes may lose fluids more rapidly, and dehydration can affect blood sugar management. It's also worth remembering that every individual is different. Two people of the same age may respond very differently to the same weather. That's why it's important to understand your own health and follow the advice of your healthcare provider. Some medications can affect heat tolerance. Many commonly prescribed medications can also influence how the body handles heat. Some medicines may increase fluid loss. Others may reduce sweating or affect blood pressure, making it more difficult for the body to cool itself effectively. This doesn't mean anyone should stop taking their medication. In fact, stopping prescribed medication without medical advice can be dangerous. Instead, if you're concerned about how hot weather might interact with your medicines, it's a good idea to discuss it with your doctor or pharmacist. They can explain whether any extra precautions are appropriate for you. Warm nights can be just as dangerous as hot days. Many people assume the hottest part of the day is the greatest concern. But scientists are increasingly paying attention to something else. Warm nights. Normally, cooler nighttime temperatures allow the body to recover after a hot day. Heart rate slows. Body temperature gradually returns to normal. Sleep becomes more restful. But during prolonged heat waves, nighttime temperatures may remain unusually high. Homes without air conditioning can stay warm well into the early morning hours. Without that cooling period, the body begins the next day already under stress. After several consecutive hot nights, fatigue builds. Sleep quality declines. The body has less energy to cope with another day of extreme heat. For older adults, this lack of recovery can significantly increase the risk of heat-related illness. Living alone can increase the risk. There's another factor that often receives less attention. Many older adults live independently. Independence is something to be proud of. But during a heat wave, living alone may mean there isn't someone nearby to notice early warning signs. Sometimes the first symptoms of overheating are subtle. You may feel unusually tired. Perhaps you become slightly confused. Maybe you lose your appetite or simply don't feel like drinking water. These small changes can be easy to overlook. That's why family members, neighbors, and friends play such an important role during periods of extreme heat. A simple phone call, a quick visit, or even sending a message to check in. These small acts of kindness can make a real difference. The good news. At this point, you might be wondering whether extreme heat is something you should fear. The answer is no. It is something to respect, not fear. The encouraging news is that most heat-related illnesses can be prevented. Understanding how your body responds to heat allows you to make simple adjustments that greatly reduce your risk. Staying hydrated. Keeping your home as cool as possible. Avoiding strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day. Checking on family members and neighbors. These straightforward habits can go a long way toward protecting your health. And perhaps most importantly, learning to recognize the early warning signs before a situation becomes serious. Because heat-related illness rarely appears all at once. It usually begins with subtle symptoms that many people dismiss as simply feeling tired. Recognizing those early signs can make all the difference. The warning signs you should never ignore. Understanding heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Now that we've talked about why older adults are more vulnerable to extreme heat, let's discuss something that could truly protect your health and possibly even save a life. One of the biggest dangers during a heat wave is that heat-related illness often develops gradually. It doesn't usually happen the moment you step outside. Instead, your body may begin sending small warning signals long before the situation becomes serious. The problem is that many people mistake those signals for something else. They might think, I'm just a little tired today. Maybe I didn't sleep well last night. It's probably nothing. But during extremely hot weather, these symptoms deserve your attention. Knowing the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke can help you respond quickly and appropriately. What is heat exhaustion? Heat exhaustion occurs when your body loses too much water and salt through sweating, making it difficult to cool itself effectively. Think of it as your body's way of saying, I'm struggling, I need help before this gets worse. The good news is that heat exhaustion can often improve if it's recognized early and treated promptly. Common warning signs. One of the earliest symptoms is heavy sweating. Even if you haven't been exercising, your clothes may become damp and your skin may feel cool or clammy. You might also notice feeling unusually weak or tired, dizziness or lightheadedness, a headache that wasn't there before, muscle cramps, especially in the legs, nausea or an upset stomach, feeling faint when standing up, faster than normal heartbeat. Some people also describe feeling as though they simply don't have any energy. Activities that usually feel easy, walking to the mailbox, watering plants, or preparing lunch, may suddenly seem exhausting. These symptoms are your body's way of asking for a break. Ignoring them and continuing to push yourself can allow the condition to worsen. What should you do if you notice these symptoms? If you think you or someone else may be experiencing heat exhaustion, it's important to act without delay. Move to a cooler place. That could mean going indoors, finding an air-conditioned building, or simply sitting in a shaded area away from direct sunlight. Loosen or remove unnecessary layers of clothing. If possible, place a cool, damp cloth on the neck, forehead, or wrists, or take a cool shower if it's safe to do so. Sip cool water regularly if the person is awake and able to drink comfortably. Rest until the symptoms improve. Many people begin feeling better after cooling down and replacing lost fluids. However, if symptoms continue to worsen, do not assume they'll go away on their own. Seek medical advice promptly. When heat exhaustion becomes heat stroke, this is where things become much more serious. Heat stroke is not simply a worse version of feeling hot. It is a medical emergency. Heat stroke happens when the body's temperature rises so high that its normal cooling system begins to fail. Without rapid treatment, it can damage the brain, heart, kidneys, and other vital organs. That is why recognizing the warning signs is so important. The symptoms of heat stroke. Unlike heat exhaustion, heat stroke often affects the brain as well as the body. A person may suddenly become confused, disoriented, unable to answer simple questions. They may speak strangely or seem unaware of where they are. Some people become unusually agitated. Others become very drowsy. In severe cases, they may lose consciousness. Other warning signs include very high body temperature, hot skin that may feel dry, although some people continue to sweat, rapid heartbeat, severe headache, difficulty walking, seizures in some cases. If someone begins showing these symptoms during extreme heat, do not wait to see if they improve. Call emergency medical services immediately. While waiting for help, move the person to a cooler location if possible. Use cool, wet towels, fans, or cool water on the skin to help lower body temperature. If the person is unconscious or unable to swallow safely, do not give them food or drinks, as this could increase the risk of choking. Quick action can make a critical difference. The importance of trusting your instincts. One of the most valuable pieces of advice during a heat wave is this. If something doesn't feel right, pay attention. Perhaps you've suddenly become much more tired than usual. Maybe you're feeling dizzy after only a short walk. Perhaps a neighbor who normally chats happily seems confused or unusually quiet. These changes may seem small, but in hot weather, they deserve attention. It's always better to cool down, rest, and seek medical advice if needed than to ignore symptoms and hope they'll disappear. Don't forget about others. Heat-related illness doesn't only affect the person experiencing it. Sometimes family members notice the warning signs first. If you have elderly parents, grandparents, friends, or neighbors, consider checking on them during very hot weather. A quick phone call, a short visit, asking, have you had enough water today? Is your home staying cool? These simple questions may seem ordinary, but they show care. And occasionally, they can make an extraordinary difference. Many health experts encourage communities to look after one another during heat waves, especially older adults who live alone. Why heat can sneak up on you. One reason heat-related illnesses are so dangerous is that they don't always feel dramatic at first. Unlike slipping on ice or experiencing a sudden injury, overheating often develops quietly. Hour by hour, your body slowly loses fluids. Your heart works a little harder. Your temperature rises. By the time symptoms become obvious, your body may already be under significant stress. That's why prevention is always better than treatment. You don't have to wait until you feel ill before taking action. Drinking water regularly, staying in cool environments, and avoiding the hottest part of the day are much easier than recovering from a serious heat-related illness. A message of reassurance. Everything we've discussed so far might sound concerning. But here's the encouraging news. Most people who experience heat-related illness recover well when the warning signs are recognized early and appropriate action is taken. Knowledge is one of the best forms of protection. Simply understanding the symptoms gives you a better chance of responding quickly, for yourself or for someone you care about. And while recognizing danger is important, there's something even more powerful. Knowing how to prevent it from happening in the first place. Fortunately, many of the most effective ways to stay safe during extreme heat are also the simplest. Practical ways to stay cool and hydrated during extreme heat. By now, we've talked about why Europe is getting hotter, why older adults are more vulnerable, and the warning signs that should never be ignored. The good news is this. There are many simple, practical steps you can take to reduce your risk during a heat wave. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need to completely change your lifestyle. In many cases, a few thoughtful adjustments to your daily routine can make a meaningful difference. Let's go through some of the most effective ways to protect yourself. 1. Don't wait until you're thirsty to drink water. One of the simplest and most important things you can do is stay well hydrated. As we discussed earlier, the feeling of thirst often becomes less noticeable with age. That means your body may already be running low on fluids before you realize you need a drink. Instead of waiting until you're thirsty, try making hydration part of your routine. For example, you might enjoy a glass of water when you wake up, another with breakfast, one during the afternoon, and another with your evening meal. If you enjoy herbal tea or milk, those can also contribute to your daily fluid intake. Some fruits, such as watermelon, oranges, strawberries, and peaches, contain a high amount of water and can be refreshing choices during hot weather. If your doctor has advised you to limit your fluid intake because of a medical condition such as heart failure or kidney disease, continue following that advice and speak with your healthcare provider about the best approach during periods of extreme heat. 2. Keep your home as cool as possible. During a heat wave, your home should become your place of recovery. One simple habit is to keep curtains, blinds, or shutters closed during the hottest part of the day, especially on windows that receive direct sunlight. This helps reduce the amount of heat entering the room. Later in the evening, when outdoor temperatures begin to fall, opening windows can allow cooler air to circulate through the home. If you have an electric fan, remember that fans can help you feel more comfortable by moving air across your skin. However, during very high temperatures, especially when the air itself is extremely hot, fans may not be enough on their own. Whenever possible, spend time in air-conditioned places such as community centers, libraries, shopping centers, or other public buildings if your home becomes uncomfortably warm. Even a few hours in a cooler environment can help your body recover from prolonged heat. 3. Dress for the weather. The clothes we wear can make a surprising difference. Choose lightweight, loose-fitting clothing that allows air to circulate around your body. Natural fabrics such as cotton or linen often feel more comfortable because they allow heat and moisture to escape more easily. Light-colored clothing also reflects more sunlight than darker colors, helping you stay cooler when outdoors. If you're going outside, wear a wide-brimmed hat when possible and consider sunglasses to protect your eyes from intense sunlight. Simple choices like these can make outdoor activities much more comfortable. 4. Avoid the hottest hours of the day. Many people enjoy walking, gardening, or running errands. These activities are wonderful for maintaining health and independence. But during a heat wave, timing becomes especially important. The hottest part of the day is often between late morning and early evening. Whenever possible, consider doing outdoor activities earlier in the morning or later in the evening when temperatures are lower. If you must be outside during the hottest hours, take frequent breaks in the shade and carry water with you. Listen to your body. If you begin feeling unusually tired, dizzy, or overheated, stop and cool down. There's no prize for pushing through extreme heat. 5. Eat light, balanced meals. Heavy meals can sometimes make you feel even warmer because your body uses energy to digest food. During hot weather, many people find it more comfortable to eat smaller, lighter meals throughout the day. Fresh vegetables, fruit, yogurt, whole grains, and lean sources of protein can provide nourishment without leaving you feeling overly full. If your appetite decreases during a heat wave, try not to skip meals entirely. Even smaller portions can help provide the energy your body needs. 6. Pay attention to indoor temperatures. Sometimes the temperature inside the home can become much higher than we realize. A simple indoor thermometer can help you understand how warm your living space has become. If your bedroom remains very warm at night, consider sleeping in the coolest room available if that's practical for you. Improving nighttime comfort can also improve sleep, giving your body a better chance to recover before the next day. 7. Check in with family, friends, and neighbors. Extreme heat isn't something we have to face alone. If you have older relatives, neighbors, or friends, consider checking on them regularly during a heat wave. A quick phone call, a short conversation, or simply asking if they need groceries or bottled water. These small acts of kindness strengthen communities, and sometimes they help identify problems before they become emergencies. If you live alone, don't hesitate to let someone know if you're feeling unwell. There's no shame in asking for help. In fact, staying connected is one of the smartest ways to stay safe. 8. Protect yourself from direct sunlight. If you're spending time outdoors, seek shade whenever possible. Whether you're sitting in a park, waiting for public transportation, or enjoying your garden, moving into the shade can significantly reduce your exposure to heat. If you're planning a longer outing, bring water, wear sunscreen, and take regular breaks indoors if possible. Even people who feel healthy can become overheated after spending too much time in direct sunlight. 9. Be extra careful with physical activity. Exercise is an important part of healthy aging. Walking, cycling, swimming, gardening, and stretching all offer tremendous health benefits. But during extreme heat, your usual routine may need a temporary adjustment. Instead of exercising during the afternoon, consider going for a walk shortly after sunrise or later in the evening. Reduce the intensity if the weather is unusually hot. Remember, staying active is important, but staying safe is even more important. A missed workout is far less serious than becoming ill from heat. 10. Prepare before the next heat wave arrives. One of the best ways to stay safe is to prepare before temperatures become extreme. Keep a few bottles of drinking water at home. Know where the coolest room in your home is. Make sure fans or cooling equipment are working properly. Have the phone numbers of family members, neighbors, or emergency contacts easily available. If weather forecasts predict several days of extreme heat, think ahead. Plan grocery shopping early. Reschedule strenuous activities if possible. And make staying cool part of your daily routine from the very beginning of the heat wave. Preparation is often much easier than reacting after problems develop. Final thought before we look ahead. By now, you may have noticed something encouraging. Nearly all of these recommendations are simple. None of them require expensive technology. They don't promise perfect protection. But together, they can greatly reduce the strain that extreme heat places on the body. As Europe continues to experience warmer summers, these habits may become just as routine as wearing a coat during winter. Which brings us to one final question. If today's heat waves are becoming more common, what do scientists believe the future may look like? And perhaps even more importantly, is there reason to remain hopeful? Extreme heat may be becoming more common, but it doesn't have to catch us unprepared. By understanding how heat affects the body, recognizing the warning signs early, and making a few simple adjustments to your daily routine, you can greatly reduce your risk and help protect the people you care about. Knowledge is one of the most powerful tools we have, and sometimes the smallest habits can make the biggest difference. Stay safe, take care of yourself and those around you, and we'll see you in the next video.